Welcome to Cooking for Incels, the series where I slowly learn to cook and transform from a wizard into a Chad. Today, we will be making beef and yam soup. For this recipe, you'll need 8 cups of water, which I've got boiling here, half a cup of apple cider vinegar, the strength of this beef broth concentrate, which is 16 teaspoons because it's 8 cups of water. You'll need a head of broccoli, pre-rinsed, 1 medium onion, pre-rinsed, this yam, pre-rinsed, but it's pretty big, so we're going to use pretty much the bigger half. And then we need 1 cup of brown sugar, and then we need the beef, which we're going to use chuck roast because chuck roast is a little bit higher in fat, and we're still going to trim the fat, but it works better for soup. I'm going to get that out when I get to it. So, normally you would just put the beef broth concentrate, you measure it directly into the water. However, that would be 16 teaspoons. I'd measure out 16 teaspoons, so it'd be a little monotonous. 1, 2, 3. It would just take too much time. So I actually have it pre-measured into here, and to help it pour, I added the half cup of apple cider vinegar and diluted it and mixed it up a little bit so it would actually pour easier. So there it goes. Put that in there. Put this in the sink to wash as soon as we're done. Because no one likes a messy kitchen. Not your girlfriend, and you shouldn't either. Alright, and then you want to add your cup of brown sugar. And you actually want to do this real quick because this is going to actually help create the broth, help everything blend. Put that in there. Put this away because I don't need them anymore. This is just to show you that I'm using them. Put the brown sugar away, like I said, clean everything up. Now, I'm going to chop the onion up first because the onion, I don't like raw onions. Raw onions don't agree with my stomach too well. So I'm going to make sure the onion is cooked the most. So you cut the ends and you do this with your hands. You tuck your fingers in. I like anime, so I think of a beckoning cat. Like when you think of anime, they sometimes go meow. The girls do. So that's basically what you're doing. That helps prevent you from nicking your fingers. And it's very important not to do that because you can get infections very easily if you're handling meat. So you want to cut the ends off, which is a little tricky for me because I'm still a novice at this cooking. Cut the ends off carefully. There we go. And then start peeling off some of the outer layers. You want to keep it on. You want to keep a good amount on, but of course, you want to peel off the crusty, dry layers because those won't taste very good if you get them in your soup. As you can see, it's boiling again. That's good. Throw this away right here. And there's a little germ in here. It's like basically the seed or the core of the onion. It's called a germ. Have you ever heard of wheat germ? That's the inside that actually grows. The germ and the kernel. So, a little vocabulary for you. I've heard it called the core. So, you core an onion. Get in there. See if I can get it out this way. If I don't get it all the way, when I slice it, it will come out. So, slice it this way. Basically, we don't have to dice it, but we want to get it small because this is a soup. So, think of it as we're eating it with a spoon. So, however small you want to eat it, so that you're eating bite-sized pieces. Like, basically, you think, okay, so I don't want a big chunk of onion, and I don't want it to be, real big. I want it to be, if I'm eating the onion, have a little piece, basically. Yeah, you just have to think, okay, how big do I want it to be on a spoon? Because we're making it you're going to eat it with a spoon. So, bear with me while I cut this up, separate this. See, sometimes you get a little messy when you cook. There's a little bit of skin there. Guys, excuse me, my eyes are watering a bit. A little rough. Those of you who cut onions are I'm sure you're used to it. If you cut onions a lot, you actually get used to the. I've heard you get used to the feeling of the acid in your eyes, and you don't cry anymore because you're just used to it. I've heard also that, I'm not sure how useful this is, but if you wear those glasses you get at a hardware store, the safety glasses, those will actually work too for helping to blocking some of the hydrochloric acid from getting in your eyes so you don't tear up as much. And this may sound crazy, but I would like to try it myself sometime. And that is to try, here's the core, get that out. I'd like to try swimming goggles, like scuba goggles, or just diving goggles. You guys think about it, that actually seals around your eyes, Just be careful, because you're going to have to take them off right away. Because it's like if you get acid in behind contacts, it will sit there and really cause a lot of damage. So right after you're done with the cutting of the onion, you will have to take those goggles off just for safety. So if you cook onions and you are wearing those goggles and they do end up helping to keep you from crying, remember, you're going to have to take them off right away, because there's a chance that the acid did seep into the goggles a little bit. If it did seep in at all, you're going to have the acid sitting on your eyes. Now, I don't know, there's a lot they don't know about eyes. You probably, I'm guessing, will get your vision back, but you might have fuzzy vision for a while. So, just something to be mindful of. So, got a little bit more of this onion to cut up. Got a little bit more skin I'm peeling off here. No one likes the preparation time of cooking, but I'm actually showing you how long it takes. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think I should have everything prepped in the future? Tell me what you think. Tell me in the comments. Should I have everything cut up and prepped in the future because it's taking a while? Of course, you do get to see me try. You get to see me suffer. Ow. Yep, there I am. I'm trying. Almost there. Got a few scraps here. Picking up. Nice. Yep, like I said, you get these small pieces. And just a wee bit more. I got this knife at the dollar store, so it's not the best, but it actually works so much, so that's good. And almost done. I got one big piece to cut up still. And then we'll be done with the onion. And I can stop crying! Stop crying! It's not that bad! Actually, it is. Okay. Okay. Couple of pieces. Pull this apart. So there's a big piece here, a big chunk. There's the core. See? Let you get to it. There's a little bit more core. Break this up. Little pieces here. There's a few pieces I cut up. Separate them. Tear them up. You can tear it up too a little bit. It's like you're not, making this in a restaurant. You can tear it up. Who cares? And if she's worth keeping, I doubt she's gonna care. She's just gonna be happy you're cooking for her, Okay, next thing to cook is the yam, because it's harder than the broccoli, much harder. So, like I said, you pre-rinsed it. I almost rinsed it, but I remembered I pre-rinsed it. You want to take the bigger half, so cut in here. This is part of the reason I didn't prep, so you could see about how big it is. Probably show it next to my, well, so I haven't eliminated half of it, so you can see how big this is. Here's my fist, and I wear extra large gloves. for exam gloves. So if you see how big that is in comparison to my hand, that's how big it is roughly. You're taking the bigger piece, bigger half. So I'll show you how big that is when I untie it. And here we go. And this is what these I'm using. Looks about that big. Okay. And now this we cut into little pieces again. Remember, you have to just think that you're eating this with a spoon, so just think, would you want to eat it with a spoon? Because you have to enjoy it. Because if you make a big piece of onion, you're not going to enjoy it probably. So this is your mind. Just think about what you'd enjoy. Now, if you want to eat a big piece of onion, I don't know, maybe you do, then by all means, make a big piece of onion. Something I have to learn too with cooking is all this experimentation. If you're cooking for a significant other, you have to learn their tastes. If you're cooking for yourself, you have to learn your tastes. You alter recipes for how you feel about them. Careful with the knife there. Careful with the knife. I was not a little careless there. So. Yeah, a lot of the recipes is you don't have to follow the recipe exactly. Sometimes you make things a little more sweet, a little less sweet. Sometimes you add a different seasoning. A lot of it's experimentation. You learn your own staples too. It's like there are standard staples, like you can get a spice rack, there sort of spices there, your staples for general, but over time you learn, okay, I don't really need cinnamon in the house that often, so I don't get cinnamon, whereas, say, I go through garlic crazy, so I don't know, maybe I need some raw garlic cloves or some good size jar of minced garlic or garlic powder, depending on the recipe, stuff like that. Be very careful because yam is hard. And this, I'm actually I can't break apart my finger, so cut that. Bear with me. I'm getting there. Thank you for watching this long, by the way. The meat goes a lot faster because the meat's soft, thankfully. So after the yam comes the broccoli, and the broccoli takes practically no time. So there's that. You don't have to worry about stuff like being cooked because this is actually just, how should I put it? This is just kind of like soaking in the flavor of the broth. It's still long to do that. So, here's that. Something I'm planning to do tomorrow is actually wearing a chicken mascot head I own and standing across the street from the Chick-fil-A, one of the Chick-fil-A's in town, and standing there doing this. Just stand there, stare down, wearing a chicken head. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to call the police or if they're going to bring me some chicken as a joke. I don't know what's going to happen, but I bet the customers will find it funny. Cut that. And being very careful with this knife because this knife with these hard vegetables, very easy to cut yourself. That's why they say it's easier to cut yourself with a dull knife than a sharp knife, which doesn't make sense to a lot of people. But the reason why is because you are getting reckless with the dull knife, because the dull knife you are trying to cut, you are putting a lot of effort into just pushing and pulling and just kind of jerking it around, and because of that you lose control. So when you get these hard vegetables like this, you have to be very careful. And there are the onions, making me cry again. So I can split that a little bit. Alright, there we go. Alright, so there are those pieces. This last piece is a little bit big, so I'm going to cut that in half, and then we will be done with the sweet potato, finally. There we go. Now the broccoli is a lot easier. You just cut at the base of these florets. Well, first off, we're going to pull off these leaves, because the leaves are not really... I mean, you probably could eat them, but they're not exactly desirable. Ugh, sorry, the onions are making me cry. I'm going to cut right here at the base of the florets. That's what I found is the best thing to do. Then you want to cut along lengthwise. This is the easiest I found. You can just slice it right in, very easy. And then just cut into pieces. Depending on the size of the broccoli head and depending on the length of the stem there. And then you can get 3 pieces, you can get 4 pieces on each half. Throw that in there, and then you just break the florets into pieces, just like that. Break the florets into pieces. Cut that bit right there off. So you just have to think like how big of a piece you want to eat with it. So there's that. See, broccoli's a lot easier to chop up. Cut the crowns right off. Very easy. Let's try to bring it a small piece. So. Just have at it. Cook this one. And the meat is going to come up soon. Cook the meat real soon. A little bit of leaf there. Pull that leaf off. This broccoli, I'm just going to have fun cutting it. Yeah, it's for fun, just to see what's going on, but remember, even though I'm having fun, still be careful not to cut it too recklessly. Still keeping an eye on where everything is, where my hands are, because you don't want to end up in the emergency. You don't want to end up in the emergency room, and trust me, you could easily end up in the emergency room with knives. Like because of my insurance being on Medicaid, you know, basically Ready-Med, which is a emergency, it's like where you go if you have a non-emergency where you need medical care, quick medical care, which is not an emergency. That does not accept Medicaid. So I'll put this in here and make sure you use that soon. That's where you go if you need urgent medical care, but it's not an emergency, because it's cheaper than the emergency room. But yeah, they don't take my insurance because it's Medicaid, so they don't take my insurance. But yep, so you can clean up a little bit here. So I would have to go to the emergency room, and it's like, you know, you have to just scrape that off my sink there. I would have to go off in the emergency room, and right now, with how bad people are with COVID, you know, the emergency room is going to take however long, depending on, you know, how bad my injury is. It may take a while. There's a chance I'll get COVID, which thankfully I'm immune right now. But there's going to be people there with COVID. You know, there's a good chance I'll get it. You know. Plus, it's just not fun to sit there with a bleeding injury where you need stitches. So, this is a big piece of meat. I'm going to cut about a third off. So, cut right in here. Cut this third off. Cut real careful. Be very careful right now because, like I said, do not go to the emergency room. Probably about half, actually. Probably gonna be about a third or half. It looks like it's gonna be pieces. Try to cut off a big section, but it looks like it's gonna end up being pieces. Kind of strips because it's gonna be easier to actually hook into cut into chunks. So actually cut off strips. There we go. Cut the strips vertically. That's the trick. You probably want about a third of this. Just a little bit more because I like the meat. If you don't want the meat as much meat, you can cut less. But I like a lot of meat, so I'm using about a third, a little more than a third. Sorry about the noise. And this is going here. Wash my hands real quick. So, you want to wash your hands for 20 seconds, remember that. Oh, this actually got clogged up, this dish soap. This bottle got clogged up, so I had to rinse out the cap. You know, that was the trick. I scrubbed the little brush a little bit, so that made it there. So let's count to 20. 1, 2, 3. Counting with Tim. 4, 5, 6, 7. Get in those nails. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Get between the fingers, around the thumb. 13, 14, 15, 16. Get the heels. Get in the heels, get in the back of the hands. Get the back of the hands there. You need to get every little piece. The germs like hide where you don't expect them. 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay? About 20 seconds. You want at least 20 seconds to a minute. You know. Because proper hand washing is the most effective way to prevent the spread of the disease. You know. Even more important than hand sanitizing, because here's a little trick. Most soap, like hand soap, is something called a phospholipid. There's another vocabulary word for you today. And a phospholipid will break down both polar and non-polar molecules. So they'll break down stuff like fats, cholesterols, and it'll also break down stuff like help separate water molecules. It will help break down minerals. Basically, it'll help dissolve a lot of stuff. So a lot of stuff that's not held together very strongly, it will dissolve. So that's why it helps break down bacteria, helps destroy bacteria, because it actually breaks the cell wall and the cell membrane, breaks the cell membrane, destroys it, so that everything basically spills out. And the viruses, it just basically destroys the outside shell, the cell wall. So there's that. Clean my hands. You want to use a paper towel to actually turn off the sink, because you just touch your sink with dirty hands, with germy hands. So here's this. Throw that little bit of fat away. Now you want to trim off the fat, because trust me, trimming off the fat, you don't want to eat a big chunk of fat, because honestly, this isn't just fat. This is a gristle too, and you know, you don't want to eat a big chunk of gristle. If you ever want to know what the gristle's like, try imagining eating that gristle on a steak at a restaurant. It's not good. Like, you can, if you ever get gristle, a steak at a restaurant is not a pleasant experience. You know, you want to cut that off. So you want to cut that off if you can. Yeah, it's not fun. So if you think about you're eating soup and you get this big piece of brisket, that's all you get in your spoon, you're not going to enjoy that. And you want to enjoy your food. You know, you're taking this time to cook it, you want to enjoy it. So cut around this cartilage and this fat. You don't have to take off every little piece. So there are going to be little pieces throughout the flesh. That's normal. You just want to get the big pieces, because that's where all the gunk will be. Remember, this is Chuck. Chuck's Special Soups, because it's got a little bit higher fat content, and it's got marbling, which is better, even better marbling, which is the fat being spread in the meat, I believe, in the flesh. Okay, there's that piece, and then there's just this one piece here to get real quick. It's going to be perfect. I'm getting the do a little bit of fat off at a time. Yeah, this is got Kroger, so it's better than say Walmart meat, but still, if you want good meat, you know, you have to actually go to a butcher. Which, let's face it, there aren't exactly butchers where I live. You know, I don't live in a major city, and I don't live in a rural town. I live in, you know, a Midwest city that's the second largest in the state. But, you know, there are some farms around here, but there aren't really advertised butcher shops. There we go. I'm peeling off this meat here. And more and more meat off here. You want to get as much meat as you can, of course, because, you know, you want to basically get your best bang for your buck, as they say here in the States. You want to get your best, get as much for your money as you can, because this is $7 a pound. So, yeah, it's a good chunk of meat. It's a good price. I mean, admittedly, you know, some people are like, yeah, that's not much, but, I mean, for my budget, it is. You know, it was $16.50 for that piece of, for this piece of meat, this whole piece of meat, so it was a bit pricey for me, especially because I'm partially on food stamps, so I can't really afford to do this very often, so bear with me. I got this last piece to trim a bit. There we go, there's that. Trim this a bit. Remember, beckoning cat. Here we go. There we go. Alright. Look at all that fat I got off there. Now this is meat, so this goes out right away. This goes out tonight. Okay, remember that. You're cooking with meat, like this little piece, it's just a little piece, I just got to throw that in there. But if you're cooking with meat and you have some in the trash, it goes out right away, because it will go rancid very quickly. So I'm taking that out as soon as this video uploads. So, and then you just basically cut it into bite-sized pieces, just like everything else. Bite-sized pieces. There we go. Careful. Use your hands here. When I'm using my hands here to cut these pieces that are tough, I am moving my knife very slow. And just drawing mostly. I'm not using much of a sawing motion most of the time. If I feel it's not going much with the light saw, I will just go over it again and again by a draw. Just bring it back. That way I have much more control over it, and it's much less likely I will hurt myself with it. So there's that. It's going to be a lot of meat, which is good. There's a little chunk. So remember, bite-sized pieces. Remember, bite-sized pieces. That way you can enjoy every little bite. And do it to your taste. Like, would I want to eat something this big? Would I want to eat something big enough? You know, really just about whatever your taste is. Whatever you want to do, it's cool. I'll just draw it. There we go. There's a good piece of meat. And there we go. That's a big piece of fat right in the back there. So I'm going to work on pulling that off. There we go. It comes right off. That's actually reducing a lot, so it's more like almost a stew at this point. The water's reducing a lot, so I'm going to hurry up a bit. See, I did the other, I used basically a rump roast for the other meat. I tried it before, so I didn't have to separate the fat as much, so that's probably why I didn't have to reduce as much. So I'm going to hurry up a bit, but I'm still going to be very careful. You know, don't get reckless. No matter how much of a hurry you're in, do not get reckless. Always stay in control of your knife. Always stay in control of yourself, because it just takes one slip off. One slip up. And you get cut. And since you're handling this meat, you're going to be on antibiotics. And you're probably going to have to wake up every 6 hours to take it. So if you can't really get good night's sleep, you have to wake up in the middle of the night to take your meds, take your antibiotic. You have to go to work. You have to get off work at a certain time to take your meds, take your antibiotic no matter what. It's like you have to take it like clockwork, you know. And I've done antibiotics before. You do have to take it like every 6 hours, depending on the antibiotic. So it's just not fun. It's not the worst thing, I'm sure. I mean, yeah. Admittedly, it's not the worst thing you have to do with medication, but still, you know, why do it if you don't have to? Yeah, if you can avoid that, avoid it. Plus, you don't ruin your meat, you don't ruin your recipe. You don't have to say, I have to go to the hospital, I have to shut off everything. You know, you don't have to stop cooking to go to the hospital. So you don't have to get antibiotics, you don't have to go to the hospital. We're going to sit there for who knows how long. Feel uncomfortable. Being around sick people. And you have to keep cooking. So there are these. This last piece is a little big for my taste, so I'm going to cut it a bit. There we go. Uh-huh. There's a little bit of fat left. There's that. Like I said, that's going out tonight. I'm going to wash my hands again real quick because I have to touch a storage bag, food storage bag from the box to put that meat in. Because you want to cover the meat. So just get it in there. Get all over your hands. Get the heels. Get in between your fingers. Get under your nails. Back of your hand. Back of your fingers. Your palms. Everything. Every little piece. Every little thing, because those germs can be anywhere, at any time. You know, sanitation is very important in everything. It's been about 10 seconds. I'm probably doing it too much, so I'm going to add a little bit more water here to make it a little bit more foamy. We want this foamy to be effective, so do it for 10 more seconds here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, there we go. Rinsing my hands off here. Takes a bit. Make sure your hands are not full of germs. Alright, set this to cook for 15 minutes. 2, 3, 4, 5. 15 minutes, and that will just cook for 15 minutes. When that's done with cooking for 15 minutes, you want to let it sit on that hot burner for about 5 minutes just to rest and help it, just let it absorb some of the broth into the meat. And then it should be ready to serve. Oh, I dropped it, so I have to get another bag now. Excuse me. Then it should be ready to serve. But real quick tip is actually you can after you cook it, you can let it cool off. You still leave it in the hot burner for 5 minutes to soak up the juices a little bit, but you can actually let it cool off on the cold burner after that, and then stick it in your fridge, covered of course, on the pot, and let it soak and absorb that broth overnight. And that goes into the meat, makes it really tasty actually. And then all you have to do the next day, if you're cooking in the morning or cooking it for lunch, all you really have to do is just put it on the stove top, the burner, and boil it. And as soon as it's boiled, it's cooked. You just let it cool off from there. You know, it's very simple, and you just keep eating it over and over and over again. And it's a simple soup. Admittedly, you know, it's not anything extravagant, but this is just me learning to cook. You know, hopefully you're learning to cook from it too. I'm going to play this recipe more, or see if I can make it a little bit tastier, make it a little bit more pizzazz, I guess you could say. Make it, how should I say, flamboyant, make it more flavorful, make it more unique, make it more tasteful and more, well, more me, more to my personality, because I like stuff that's kind of sour, I mean personally, so as you probably recognize from the chicken I made, I like stuff sour. So, spin it out 20 seconds. I have the drill foamy here. Rinse my hands off. Remember, use a paper towel to actually turn off the faucet. I'm going to use this Clorox wipe here. Actually, it's off brand, but to sanitize the faucet a bit. Wipe down this area, everything down, and of course this still gets washed. It's not a substitute for washing, but this is just to help control it a little bit. First, wipe this down. You still have to wipe it down with another one because it's got pieces in it. Only if it's a solid surface would be clean for this, but I had pieces of meat there, so I'm going to have to use another one here just to get the solid surface that was underneath the meat. And if you look, there's a little bits of food on here, so I'm going to have to wipe it down real good on here, because you keep everything sanitary. You do not mess anything up, or you probably will mess things up, but you clean everything up. You keep it germ-free as best you can, sanitize as best you can, because foodborne illness is very easy to transfer. Foodborne illness is very easy to get. I got about 11 minutes left in here, and then there's 5 minutes resting on the hot burner, and then I'm just going to pull it off and let it cool, and then prep it for storing tonight. And like I said, those dishes get done tonight, and that trash gets done tonight. That trash goes out tonight, so actually to make sure, I'm going to take that trash out. Before I upload this video, I'm going to turn off the video, take the trash out, then upload the video, just so I don't forget to take that trash out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Have a good night.